So what we're going to do today is we're going to look at how we build the reverse of the pages we've made. So these are pages that are going to go on a hardback book with a flexi spine. So they're the pages, that's what I was trying to do. They're the pages with the open bit that slides on. So we need to build something flat on the back of each page that we've built because these are quite bulky. So what I usually do is I just put little pockets and tuck spots on the back here. Good morning, Donna. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. It's lovely to see people coming on. So these, as I say, you know, these are quite simple things we've made before, but sometimes rather than sort of going back through all the old videos, putting it all together on one page is, or one thing, is not a bad idea. So I'm going to start with a straightforward pocket page, tuck pocket page, or tuck spot, whatever you want to call it. So I've got a piece of my paper. I've cut some down to size. I think I'm going to go with, so this is going to go on the back of this. So I'm going to go with a darker one. So I'm going to go with that one. And I've cut this already to 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. So it's a 7 3/4 square. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a vertical pocket, or is it horizontal? I don't know, horizontal pocket, we'll say. So I need to take a piece off the top. So as this is 7 3/4, I'm going to take 1 3/4 from the top. So 1 3/4 from the top. This just helps my maths, okay, because that leaves me with a nice 6-inch piece. So I'm going to cut 3 inches, and I've got a 3-inch and a 3-inch. So let me just put that to one side. Now I've also pre-cut some pieces of card to 8 by 3 1/4. Now I find that I choose this size, this 3-inch, because when I cut my card down, that's what I've got left. So this is a really good way of using up your scraps. So this is 8 by 3 1/4. So this one is 8 because it's going to fit onto the 8-inch page. If you were doing the different sort of design, you might make it slightly smaller. Okay, so let me get my page again. So here's the bulky side, here's the flat side. So the small piece, the 1 3/4 inches, is just going to stick down at the top. I'm going to go round it first. So I'm just going to go around the top. What I try and do now, and I'm not always successful because I don't get in quick enough, and I know because a lot of people do the same thing, is when I'm ordering a new batch of papers, particularly if they're a new design, I order my 12 by 12s and my 8 by 8s, and then I order 1 or 2 extra 12 by 12 pages with the tags on. Sometimes you have to get in really quick because they do tend to go, but the tags work brilliantly in here. And although you get 2 pages of tags, I often find it's not enough, particularly if you're making more than one book. So that is just going to go flat onto there. So then I'm going to take one of my 8 by 3 1/4, and I am going to pattern match this. You don't have to. I could do that, but I'm not over keen on that side. I love these papers. These are the Alice in Wonderland Curiouser and Curiouser papers, but there were a few pages on this, papers on this, that I wasn't as keen on. They weren't my style, is probably what I would say, more than anything else. So I'm going to pattern match. So I need to make sure that I've got these in the right order. You'd be amazed how many times I don't remember to do that. So I'm just going to go around the edge of this. And all the way down these 4 sides. So the new Stamperia papers, and I can't remember what they're called, but they're sort of cats and dogs, and they're rather nice. And they look rather nice. And I thought, I'm going to experiment. So I've ordered quite a lot of it. The background papers, the maxi pads, and in both 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8, and some extra pieces, just to see how much I can get out of a larger order like that, rather than having to keep ordering new bits. Because sometimes, you know, if you don't order everything you want first time and the paper's popular, you get a bit stuck. And I've done that a couple of times recently. Made something and then thought, oh, I want to make something else with that. Haven't got quite enough. I'll perhaps buy one more pad. Sorry, I'm talking and not talking about what I'm doing. So I've stuck the piece onto the piece of card, and I've gone round 3 edges with my thumb on the open edge. So now I'm just going to put that on there. So yes, I'm really experimenting with trying to buy what to me looks like more than enough, but will probably give me enough to do everything I want to do. So the third one is going to go on there. So another piece of 8 by 3 1/4, and I'm going to go around the edges again. So this paper is, case in point, I just haven't got any tags left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some up with the Cool Cats tag dies. I think it's the back dies, but I shall do that at the end when I know what papers I've got left, because I am getting to the end of these papers now. So I'm going to stick that down onto there, like so, and then thumb on the bit that I want open, glue on these 3 edges, like so. Now, sometimes I would make this a dimensional pocket, but I do want these to be flat. But making the third one a dimensional pocket is quite a nice idea. So you've got one pocket that's slightly bigger and you can get more in, and then a tuck spot up there. But as I say, I do want these to be quite flat. And as I haven't got many things to tuck in the tuck spots anyway, staying quite flat is quite a good idea. So that's a really simple sort of falling tuck spots. And I haven't got any, but I can't even find any stretched paper at the moment. Let me just... I haven't got anything very small, but you can see how you can fit a tag into those. So that is then the back of that. So when I come to put them together, I will be looking at matching up that colour scheme. So I'm going to put that with that. But now I probably want a lighter one on here. So let me go for a lighter one. I'll go for the red or the white. Don't know. I think I'll go for the... Such a difficult decision. I think I'm going to go for the red. Yeah, I'm going to go for the red. So this time I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do it the other way round. So this is exactly the same idea, only this time, and I'm thinking about which way it's going to go in the book. So it's going to go that way in the book. So you want the anything that goes in to go in that way. So you're going to have your opening there and there. So you want to take your 1 3/4 off this edge. It is worth just having a little play, because you don't really want to be taking your opening when you've got another page here. So I'm going to take my 1 3/4 off this side. There we go. So there's my 1 3/4, which leaves me with 2 pieces at 3. So I'm just going to put that, put that to 3. And there's my 3 pieces. Now again, I could alternate them like that. I think I might do that this time. So this piece sticks straight down. So I'm just going to go around the edges of this, and this piece is going to stick straight down. Okay, like so. That's going to go on to there like that. So am I going to keep with the pattern, or am I going to reverse it? I think I'm going to reverse it just to show you how it looks when it's been reversed. The problem is I've used my trimmer. Now if I use my caterpillar, I don't have this issue, but because I'm using my trimmer, there is a right and a wrong side. And it's really difficult to see, but this side is slightly raised. So before I do anything, I'm just going to go along there and along there to try and take that edge off a little bit. Another way of doing it is just to run it through your die cutting machine, because you don't want it looking like a rough edge. So I'm just going to, again, this will help, but it is worth going over it with your multi-purpose tool. And if you haven't got a multi-purpose tool, just run it through your die cutting machine that way up, just to smooth it. So I want another piece like so. And I know, I always double check it fits, because it's so easy to pick up the piece of card that you haven't cut correctly, or to cut a piece incorrectly by mistake, as you know I do quite often. So it's always worth, before you stick anything down, try then stick. It's a bit like measure, measure again, then cut. Try again, and then stick. Okay, so the tuck is going this way. So there's my thumb. And along that edge, along that edge, and along that edge. Quite an exciting day today. I tutor quite a lot for 11 plus students, and it's results day today. So it's quite nice. Parents contact me to let me know how their children have done. So it's quite an exciting day for me. I'm just going to have a quick drink. So, and then the third one is going on to here, and I do actually, yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. I think alternating it sometimes really does help. This is the one thing, I mean, I love the fact that Stamperia now do their maxi pads, which are single-sided, but it means you've either got to use 2 pieces of paper to get an alternating pattern, or not have an alternating pattern because the other side is white. There we go. And that is going to go onto there like that. So I'm going to go round Now I didn't need to go around the edges of this because this was the way up that I cut it. So the edges are nice and smooth. So pop that onto there. Again, everything's going in this way, so that is the side I don't want. Need to do something with this nib. It's all clogged up. I know you're supposed to put the lid on these glue press overnight, but I work so late into the evening, I just always forget. So that's going to go onto there. So that's your horizontal ones, keeping the pattern the same. And this is your vertical one with alternating patterns. So you can create the same sort of thing, but in different ways. So the next one I'm going to have a go at, let me just see if it's, make sure there's nobody else on here. Okay, so the next one I'm going to have a go at is a diagonal. Now, I love doing a diagonal. For me, it's just that little bit different. So again, I'm going to decide which one. And actually, I'm going to use this because I like this back, and you'll see why that's going to be quite important. So for this, I've cut another piece of card at 8 by 8. So I'm going to get my trimmer in again, and this time I'm going to cut this on the diagonal. So one of my corners goes in there, the other one goes in there. You can draw it first if you want to, but the nice thing about the trimmer is you've got that little indentation. You know exactly where the blade is going to go because it's going to go in that little indentation, so you know you can cut it. One of them you're going to keep as it is. The other one, you're going to line this long edge, the hypotenuse, to the 2-inch line. So you're lining it, the long edge, to the 2-inch line, and you're going to cut that. Okay, that is your waist. So you're left with a big triangle and a small triangle. So you're then going to take your piece of paper, which, as I've said to you, is 7 3/4 by 7 3/4. Now the thing to do is to decide which side you want your pocket. Now, depending on your pattern, so I did one the other day which had a beautiful design there, so I thought that's the side I want to keep as my pocket. But on this it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to cut this diagonally. That's the side that's going flat, that's the side that's going to have the pocket. If I wanted it the other way round, I would just turn it round. There's my flat, so my pocket will be on the left. I'm just thinking it's going to be the back of something, isn't it? So yeah, you want the pocket on the right. So there and there. It's those little details that make the difference. Okay, so I'm just going to cut that in half. Okay. Now the half that's going flat, I'm just going to put to one side. This is the side that's going to make the pocket. So I'm going to again line the hypotenuse, the longest side up to the 2-inch and cut. Okay, this is not the waist this time. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Just wanted to do the whole thing rather than bring the cutter in again. So I've got a back and a front on that, a back and a front on that. Excuse me, some of these pages aren't completed yet. I'm busy working on them. So, yeah, this way is going this way up. So this is going to be the flat bit that goes down there. So I'm going to go around, I don't have to go around all 3 edges. I just have to go around the two shorter edges like that, because this edge is going to be hidden. If I've done my maths correctly, it's going to be hidden anyway. And I'm going to stick this all the way down like so, leaving my little border around the edges. So now I'm going to create my pocket. Now, as I said, the reason I chose this was because actually I think it's going to look nice with that red breaking up the pattern a little bit. So I could go continuing the pattern, which would look absolutely fine, but I am going to actually break up that pattern and put the red in like so. So again, because I've used my trimmer, I do just want to go around the edge of this and just flatten that a little bit. Okay, it doesn't need to be hugely flattened, but you do just want to get rid of that rather rough edge. And I'm going to have to go around all four edges on this and do this. Okay. And then when I go around with the black, again, I'm just brushing it downwards rather than going straight across. So I'll get a slight more of a shadow, which again will help take away from the roughness of the edge. I need to change this pad. There's bits going everywhere. Okay, so let me just go along there. Let me just clean those up a bit. So this is going to go onto the larger triangle, like so. So I'm going to go all the way around, like that, and that is going to go onto there, like so. And then this piece, which I don't have to go around the edges because it's been cut the right way. I'd say if you use a caterpillar or any rotary cutter, you probably won't need to do that anyway. It's just if you use a trimmer. Because the blade goes into the indentation, so it actually pushes it down into that indentation. So that's going to go onto there. Now this will be an almost tight fit. So what I tend to do is, excuse me, not bother to leave an edge there, because I do want that edge there. So you might have to take it right into the corner. So I'm going to put some glue on there. Okay, and put that on like that, and as I say, you can take it right into the corner and just leave the tiniest of borders, like so. And then that is going to go onto there, and that's why it doesn't matter if you don't leave a border, because you'll get the border when you pop it on there. So hand on there, or thumb on there I should say, there, and up there, and that's going to go. And you're trying to line the papers up, which will automatically give you that border. Okay, there we go. So that's going to create two little pockets, a small pocket and a deep pocket. If you didn't want the deep pocket, use the bit that you've thrown away to make a narrow pocket, but I like a deep pocket. And then that is going to go onto there. Now you may find, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, that you need to just trim a tiny bit off there. Yeah, it really just depends how good your measuring is. Sometimes mine isn't. So along these two edges, like so, and like so. Okay, so that's going to go there, and I can see that I am just going to have to nip the very corners off there. So you can see it's just the tiniest of tiny little bits sticking up. And oh gosh, that side, it really is the tiniest of tiny bits. So probably, if I wasn't doing the other one, I wouldn't bother with that. But there we go, and there I'm doing them. So again, now you've got a large pocket there and a smaller pocket there. And I just find these really, really good. And sometimes I'll do a double one. Excuse me, just let me have a drink. I'll do a double one so that you've got the pocket going the other way. So when you turn it, you've got a really nice pattern there. So that's the third one. And then the last one we're going to do is a slightly more dimensional pocket. So I've got some pages here that I haven't made yet. So I'm going to do it on one of those, because then I can think about doing something a little less bulky on the other side. So I'm going to put this on here. Again, you've seen me do this lots of times, but it's quite useful, as I say, to have it all in one place. So I've got a piece of card here, and it's cut to 10 inches by 7 inches. So my page is 8 inches, and then I want a ½ inch either side, so it should have been 9, not 10. To trim that down a bit. So it should have been 9, not 10. I was thinking of something else. So it's 9 inches, not 10 inches. So it's an inch more than the size of your, didn't cut that right through, too fast. It's an inch more than the size of your page. And then I've cut mine to 7 inches because I want my page, I want my pocket to be 6.5. So decide on the size of the depth of your pocket and add ½ inch, and you make it 1 inch larger than the size of your page. Okay, so landscape. I had to buy a new one of these. I've been doing so much it broke. Okay, and I'm going to go ½ inch. Turn it 90 degrees to portrait. Go ½ inch. Turn it 90 degrees to landscape. Go ½ inch. Now, if you really wanted a neat corner, a neat edge, you could do another ½ inch and turn it over, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to cut from the edge to the cross. So you've got that little cross in the middle. So I'm going to cut to that. And when I reach the cross, I'm just going to turn my scissors slightly so that you create a corner that isn't going to overlap. So into that cross, turn your scissors. And I also like to take a little bit off those edges as well. Okay, let me get rid of these bits. And then I'm just going to fold all of these over from the middle out, from the middle out, and I'm just going to give them a good burnish. Okay, so I'm using the edge of my multi-purpose tool, and I'm just going around there, and then I'm going to turn them over and do the same on the other side. The more you do this, the flatter it will lie. So I'm then going to use the edge of my tool to go round again and round again. Okay, now you can decide whether you want to make the pocket first and decorate it afterwards. I'm going to put the pocket onto my page first. So always do the bottom first. So I would say lift out its ears. I don't know why I call them ears, but I do. And you want them lifted out the way. Some glue on here, and it's worth just, I mean, I'm not using much glue. It looks as if I am, but I'm not. I'm just really working what I'm using into the fibres. Just make it stick that a little bit quicker. And then making sure I'm up the right way, I'm going to pop that. Now I want my pocket, but you could, going down, you could have it on its side. You can do whatever you want. Probably not the best idea to have it going downwards, otherwise everything is going to fall out. Okay, having been very careful to say always hold it, I didn't hold it. Okay, let me just double check that I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Now with a deep pocket, again, absolutely up to you, but that is a ridge that whatever you put in is going to get stuck on. So a little bit of Corkat's Tiger tape, just to cover up that ridge. Okay, like that. And now everything will go smoothly down to the bottom. So smooth that in. Wonderful tape, because it does create that. Okay, so now fold in your ears. And we're going to put a little bit of glue. Again, work it in. Probably a little bit too much there. This is a new bottle. I was absolutely down to the dregs this morning. And you can hear it's down to the dregs because you can start to hear the air coming out. Okay, so I'm just going to put some on this side. And then what I do is I get my thumbs underneath, push it roughly into place, and then Paul taught me, start from the middle and push it out. So sometimes it will go exactly, other times not quite, so that's not bad actually. And then burnish it into place. Okay, like so. So we know that this is 7. We know we've taken our ½ inch off, so it's now 6.5. So we want our paper to be 6 1/4. So I'm going to right on the bend. There we go. So 6 1/4 is there. Take that off there. And I'm going to pop that, and that should fit. It does exactly onto that pocket front. So let's go around the edges of this. I really do need a new pad. Okay, so we'll go around the edges. Try not to get the ink all over everything. And that's going to go on there, like that. Now with these, sometimes I will put a photo slot in here. Other times I will use either my straight or my curved slots. If I've got, bear with me, I don't think I have on this one. If I've got the chipboard pieces, I haven't got many left here. I'll quite often create another tuck spot, but I haven't really got a lot here. No, I haven't got a lot at all. So probably something bigger than this, but I would just glue around top on one side and it just creates a little tuck spot. That's too small and I haven't got anything bigger. Other times I'll use my Coral Cats dies to make a dimensional pocket there, and sometimes I'll just leave it as it is. So there's lots you can do with that. Now what I need is the bit that there it is, it's on the top of all that lot. So this is the bit that I've just cut off. So again, I'm going to go round the edges of this, moving it away from there because I need a new pad on here. It's all coming off. Okay, and what I do before I glue it is I just make sure that it's going to slide in and the pattern is going to match up perfectly. Yes. So, a bit of glue on this. And then lift that up. And I always find it better to put it in first and then pull it up into position. You're more likely to get the pattern lining up. Okay, so 4 different types of quick, easy pockets. So a more dimensional one, a diagonal one, a vertical, and a horizontal. 4 pockets, it's worth practicing because they are so useful on the if you want a flat page to go on the back of a bulk. The dimensional one I will very often use as my first and last page as well. So lots of different ways that you can do pockets. I'm sure there are many, many others, but those are just my favourite ways of creating flat pockets or tuck spots.